Hey, it's Coach with Tactical Hyve. As you can see, I'm not on the range today, but I do want to talk to you guys about high value optics. What is a high value optic? Well, let's look at the characteristics of high-end optics. Okay, so high-end optics, let me have my cheat sheet right here. So on a high-end optic, starting off, high quality glass. Why do you want high quality glass? Well, if you are a sniper and you're sitting on a rooftop all day long on the glass, you're going to want the highest quality glass that you can get, because otherwise you're going to get fatigued. Your eye's going to fatigue. It's like basically looking through a corrective lens all day if you're looking for, less than optimum glass, right? So if you're not doing that, if that's not in your mission, then maybe we can we can bring that down a little bit. You still want good quality glass, but you don't need to have that perfect, you know the difference. When you look through a $3,000 scope and a $700 scope, you can see the difference. But will it make a difference? You're gonna have to decide on that one. Now, waterproof. It's expensive to make things waterproof. It also can increase the weight as well. If I'm not locking out of a submarine, maybe I don't need to have that extra waterproofness. If the threat to my gear is I fall in a river or have to, ford across a river and dunk it, or out in the rain for a day, that kind of stuff. Okay, that's weatherproof, or, splash proof, maybe down to 8-10 feet, whatever the requirement is. But that's going to be a lot less expensive as well. And if you don't need to spend that extra money on waterproofing, again, all depends on what you're using it for. Now, how tough does your optic need to be? I'm not easy on my gear, so mine tends to get bashed around a little bit. So you want it to be robust, but are you climbing in and out of armored vehicles, jumping out of airplanes and bashing your stuff up that way? I'm not even doing that anymore. All right, so maybe you don't need it to be quite that robust, right? And then the last one is battery life. So you get an aim point, it's like 50,000 plus, hours, which is years, right? If you don't need that, if it's okay to change your battery on your birthday every year, then your red dot's gonna work all the time. So first we're gonna talk about red dots. And got a couple here to look at. Everybody knows aim point makes good stuff. All right, you pay for the quality. They do have some more value priced optics, but they're still hundreds of dollars. They work really well. They're fairly robust, and they're just quality. All right, so if you're only buying one thing, yeah, go for it. Get something that's top of the line. All right, but if you've got more than one rifle, and I suggest that you have more than one rifle, as ARs go, for the price of one aim point, you can get a number of other high value optics. Okay, so there's your aim point. So next one here, we have a Holosun. Now, this one here has a circle dot reticle. So it has that, guys who like EOTechs, or there's a lot of guys out there that like to have that big circle and then the dot in the middle. You can help you with ranges and other things. There's a bunch of different reticles out there, but again, you're talking about a $200 to $300 optic. Not cheap for some people, but still works and gives you that circle dot if that's what floats your boat. Moving on. Get the old Sig Romeo 5. These things, I've got a bunch of them on a bunch of different rifles, and for a $200-ish, sub 200 most of the time, optic, they've been working really well for me. They take a little bit of a hit. I haven't had one go down yet. No glass is broken. So it's a good go-to. Got a long battery life. It's got the MOTAC, I guess the motion activated. So you put this down, and after a certain amount of time, it goes to sleep. When you pick it back up, it turns back on to the same brightness that it was when you put it down. So it's a good option. Like I said, I've got a bunch of them, and they're running pretty good. Now, battery replacement on this, you just open this one up, replace the battery. Some of the Holosuns have a little battery tray, which it's kind of a pain in the ass because you need that special tool, mini Torx wrench or whatever it is, to open it up, pull that tray out, change your battery, and shove it back in. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but if you're only doing it once every year or so, well, whatever you need. You know, it's just options for you to decide. So this one right here is a primary arms. It's got a ranging reticle in it. It's got a circle dot. And this one here is a prism scope. It's a 1-power prism. Now, guys with astigmatism, or as my eyes get older, some of these just red dots, it's a little star pattern for me, a little comma, whatever, you know, things will change. That's because of your eye. The prism scope doesn't have that. So you get a crisp, clear image, you know, all the time. And then because it's got an etched reticle on here, so even if the battery dies, I still have, you know, a reticle in there. It's just not lit up. This one, you know, for guys with older eyes, probably a good idea. Primary arms is they're robust. I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna test them, but I've seen them throw these things into a bag, throw the bag in a freezer, freeze it overnight. It's still on when it's frozen, and they bash it with a hammer and put it back on the gun, and it's still, you know, holding zero. That's tough enough for what I'm gonna, you know, use this for. So that's your primary arms, just good, you know, solid prism sight. And then I'm not against low-end optics. It's a little 22. Does it need to have an aim point on it? No, it doesn't even need a Romeo 5. This is a range toy. It's something I'm gonna go and train with. There's no recoil on this, all right? Very little, it's 22. So the robustness, what's that? I mean, I beat the hell out of this thing and it's still working, all right? So it's good enough. I mean, even the light I have on here, it's like, you know, some cheapy thing I just, you know, threw on. I don't care. It's a little 22 for teaching kids to shoot and for, you know, shooting at close range and if you don't want to make a whole lot of noise. So anyway, so these have their place as well. Would I call that a high value optic? Well, yeah, but it has to fit the category that you're working on here, right? So if it's gonna be for home defense or something that might save your life, you wanna push up to a higher end, and then, you know, decide which reticle that you want. If you like the circle dot, the single dot, if you want bullet compensation, you know, ranging marks, you know, and whether you want an etched reticle or just, you know, regular red dot. Now with the red dot, I tend to like when I build these, I like a nice fixed front sight. I like backup iron sights, okay, when you're running a red dot, because if it does go down, I can use this in a pinch. I don't even have to, you know, I don't always put a rear sight on there because I can use this as like just a big rear aperture to see my front sight. And at close range, that's gonna, you know, it'll get you on target enough, okay? Good enough is good enough sometimes, right? So that's kind of where what you're looking at is deciding what you want to do with the gun and then what requirements your optic needs. No kidding. I mean, I'm not against high-end optics. Don't take this wrong. But everybody knows aim point's good, okay? Everybody knows that high-end optics are good. What I'm trying to get across here is you may not need all the features that those have. Now, we talked about red dots today. We're gonna do a part 2 to this, where I've got some low power variable optics and some more long range optics to talk about, and the options that you have with those. As always, if you like this content, like, subscribe, leave me some comments.